She was saying last night, we will stop the abuse, we will stop the high taxes. I said that you could have done it 3.5 years ago.
As we fight to move our nation forward, Donald Trump intends to pull us back to the past. But we're not going back. As president,
We're going to pay down our debt.
In about a couple of months from now, the United States of America will vote for its 47th president. White House is often referred to as the most powerful office in the world, and the person holding the office wields enormous influence to shape not just the American future, but steer global geopolitics as well. Welcome to Connecting the Dots. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. As Donald Trump and Kamala Harris fight it out for the top job, let's understand the three key issues at the heart of these elections. First, abortion rights. The contentious issue continues to dominate public discourse in the run-up to the US elections as Donald Trump and Kamala Harris project themselves as the flag bearers of pro-life and pro-choice camps respectively.
The Democrats are really the radical ones on this because they're allowed to do abortion on the 8th and 9th month and even after birth.
he plans to create a national anti-abortion coordinator and force states to report on women's miscarriages and abortions. Simply put, they are out of their minds.
Kamala Harris and Democrats have made abortion rights central to their 2024 campaign, 2 years after the Supreme Court, barred by a conservative majority that Trump installed, overturned the landmark 1973 Roe v. Wade decision and ruled that abortion was not constitutionally protected. The issue has divided Republicans, Trump saying the matter should be left to individual states and others pushing for a national ban. In the latest, after criticizing Florida's 6-week abortion ban, former President Donald Trump says he will be voting against a ballot measure to protect and expand abortion rights. While Kamala Harris looks forward to signing a bill to restore reproductive freedom as President of the United States, Donald Trump instead promises government coverage for IVF costs if elected to power again. Moving on to the next big issue, state of the economy. The question of jobs, inflation is taking center stage in US elections. Most Americans believe cost of living is the top concern for their country. Take a look at this graph. The study by research firm Ipsos suggests only 27% of Americans in lower income households say that they are living comfortably in April of 2024. Just over half of medium income Americans say they are living comfortably in April of 2024. Meanwhile, 71% higher income households in the US say they are living comfortably in the same period. Now, Donald Trump has blamed Kamala Harris and Biden for the rise in inflation and household debt, promising to bring back what he called the best economy in history. They say politics is about perception, not data. Trump's message does resonate with many voters who currently see him as stronger on economic issues than Kamala Harris.
I want to be here to show my support. We were better off while he was in presidency. Everybody was. I mean, our economy was better, and I'm here to show my support for him.
However, Kamala Harris has narrowed that gap by arguing that she and Biden inherited an economic crisis from Donald Trump and have made significant progress in stabilizing it. She points to inflation getting under control, steady growth, a resilient labor market, even with a recent slowdown in job growth, all achieved without tipping the economy into recession. Yet it remains uncertain how convincing this argument is to voters still grappling with higher costs and increased debt. Let's now turn to the third issue, border control and illegal immigration. The United States has more foreign-born residents than any other country, with immigrants making up nearly 14% of the population in the year 2022. An estimate of undocumented population puts the number at 11 million people. For decades, US Congress has been unable to reach a consensus on how to handle immigration challenges, often leaving critical policy decisions to the courts and the executive branch. President Joe Biden rolled back many of the restrictive measures put in place by the Trump administration, while also introducing new policies in response to a historic surge in migrants. Mexico has been the top country of origin for US immigrants. Meanwhile, in August this year, during a visit to the US-Mexico border in Arizona, Republican presidential nominee and former President Donald Trump criticized his opponent Kamala Harris as a lazy border czar, while praising the wall that was built during his administration, but was never completely finished.
We had a border czar who was the border czar. She loved the title, but she didn't want to do the work, or she's lazy. And probably more importantly than being lazy, she wants to have an open border.
Kamala Harris has defended her vice presidential record on immigration and blamed her Republican rival Donald Trump for killing a bipartisan bill aimed to address the US-Mexico border. Harris assured she would renew a push for comprehensive border legislation that would tighten migration into the United States. Now, beyond these core concerns, the landscape of issues in the US elections is, of course, much wider. How will the matters related to affordable healthcare be addressed? Which way will the key swing states turn? What about the perennial issue of gun violence in America? Could the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump mark a turning point in America's gun legislation? Then there is the domain of foreign policy. Conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza continue to drag on with new escalations. The outcome of these conflicts are likely to be determined by the posturing of the new leadership in the White House. The China question looms large. So does Washington's relationship with NATO and other allies. As the climate crisis worsens, America's policy in the next 4 years could make or break global efforts to mitigate the challenge. And guess what? The world is watching closely how these US elections unfold in November this year, who the Americans choose and what they vote for. Imagine being stuck in space. Thousands of miles from Earth. That's exactly the situation Indian-American NASA astronaut Sunita Williams and her colleague Butch Wilmer are right now. They flew to the International Space Station in June aboard the Boeing Starliner spacecraft. This flight was a key test before the Starliner could be used for regular trips. After arriving at the International Space Station, Sunita and Butch were warmly welcomed. Listen to what Sunita Williams said.
Here we are in the front of the International Space Station where our spacecraft docked. Just to reorient you a little bit, this is the GEM, the Japanese laboratory, on the right-hand side or the starboard side, Navy term. This is the ESA module Columbus on the, oh, I got that wrong, didn't I? I'm facing the wrong way. That's the starboard side, the right side, and the GEM is on the left side, the port side. But let's go forward into Starliner, where there was a little bit of action the other day.
This mission was originally planned for just 8 days, but they are still stuck in space station and their stay has been extended by several months. Reason? Helium gas leaks from the Starliner capsule. When Starliner launched on June 5th, there was a small helium gas leak. Helium helps push fuel to the thrusters, which are crucial for maneuvering the spacecraft and re-entering Earth's atmosphere. Engineers thought the leak was minor, proceeded with the launch. However, additional leaks developed during the mission, and 5 of the 28 thrusters stopped working when approaching the International Space Station. Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore were the first astronauts to fly in Starliner. Now, with Starliner facing issues, NASA decided it's way too risky to use Starliner to bring them back. So, the Starliner will return to Earth without a crew.
Space flight is risky, even at its safest, and even at its most routine. And a test flight by nature is neither safe nor routine. And so the decision to keep Butch and Sonny aboard the International Space Station and bring the Boeing Starliner home uncrewed is a result of a commitment to safety.
Remember Kalpana Chawla? The tragic loss of the Indian-American astronaut Kalpana Chawla in 2003, when the space shuttle Columbia disintegrated during re-entry, influenced NASA's decision to avoid any risks with Sunita Williams. Now, how will the astronauts return to the Earth? Elon Musk's SpaceX, a competitor to Boeing, is stepping in to help. Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore are scheduled to return on a SpaceX Crew Dragon spacecraft in February next year. The Crew Dragon spacecraft is due to launch in September as part of a routine astronaut rotation mission. 2 of the Crew Dragon's 4 astronaut seats will be kept empty for Wilmore and Williams. Meanwhile, in India, people in Sunita Williams' native village prayed for her safe return. Residents of the Julasa village in western Indian state of Gujarat gathered at this temple, performed a yagna for Williams. While Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore navigate their extended stay in space, their story is a powerful reminder of the unpredictability of space travel and the resilience of those who venture into the unknown. Let me ask you this. When I say wolves, what comes to your mind? Fiery red eyes, spine-chilling howls, right? Well, much of our imagination may have been shaped by the legend of scary werewolves in movies like The Wolfman, Twilight Saga, or even the Bollywood film Bhediya starring Varun Dhawan. Now, cut to reality. Around 35 villages in India's northern state of Uttar Pradesh have become a fear zone. Reason? Man-eater wolves. Over the past few months, several people were killed by a series of wolf attacks in the Baraj district. Most of the victims are children. In India's villages, people often sleep outside their homes during summer and monsoon seasons. This makes them vulnerable to attacks. Recently, a 5-year-old girl was attacked by a wolf when she was asleep at night. Listen to what the victim's father had to say.
We had gone to sleep after dinner. When the wolf attacked her, we were sleeping wrapped in mosquito net. When the wolf grabbed my daughter. When we yelled, the wolf ran away.
The Uttar Pradesh government launched an operation to catch these man-eater wolves. They named it Project Bhediya. Hundreds of police personnel, forest department teams and experts have been deployed. The authorities are using CCTV cameras, drones laced with thermal mapping software to track these animals. See the cavalcade. The forest department has managed to capture some of the wolves, but the rest of the pack remains on the loose. Catching these wild animals isn't an easy task. Wolves are intelligent animals. They never go into cage. The usual tactics used to trap leopards and tigers just don't work on them. So the forest department had to get creative. They set up a light net trap that looks easy to cross, hoping to lure the wolves in. But these wolves are constantly changing their locations. They hunt at night, return to their dens by morning. So the officials are getting even more creative. They are using brightly colored teddy dolls soaked in children's urine to imitate the human scent. These are now placed near riverbanks and the wolves' dens. They're also using elephant dung and urine to divert the wolves' path, making them think that elephants are nearby. Wolves tend to avoid large animals, so this might work. The goal is to trick the wolves into following a path that leads them away from residential areas and towards traps or cages near their dens. Meanwhile, villagers are offering prayers for safety from wolf attacks. So why are these wolves attacking humans? Wolves typically settle near rivers which provide them food and water. But when these rivers flood, their homes and food source are getting disrupted, forcing them to venture into new territories. Normally, wolves would never attack humans or livestock unless they are desperate and starving. But with their natural habitat disrupted, they are taking risks that they wouldn't normally consider. That's what happened in Bahrain. The swollen Gagra River has disrupted their habitat, forcing the wolves to venture into human settlements. According to International Wolf Center, the majority of India's roughly 3,000 wolves live outside of protected areas. The Indian wolf is legally protected against hunting under Wildlife Protection Act 1972. The Bahrain incident is a story of survival, where the wolves are forced to adapt to a new reality and the humans are caught in the middle. That's all in this edition of Connecting the Dots. We'll see you next week with more raging issues. Till then, goodbye from all of us in Delhi Newsroom. This is Shubhendu Ghosh signing off. Take care. Stay safe. Namaskar.